Being better than your rank is incredibly frustrating, but luckily there are some very easy tips you can follow to get out of your current rank and reach your true potential. Today I'll be giving you a structured video on actionable things you can do to get there. The first problem a lot of people encounter is that they have days where they play a ton better than their rank. Let's say they're gold 2, they'll sometimes play like a diamond player, but then occasionally they'll also play like a low silver player. There are three main reasons behind why this inconsistency happens. The first and most common is neglecting warming up properly. Now, how much warming up matters varies from person to person. I know some players who can hop on and instantly be great. However, if you're someone like me who needs a bit of time to warm up your fingers and get the feel of the game, you should always put in some time playing deathmatch, aim training, or hit the practice range, whatever you find the most effective. The reason behind the extreme importance of warming up is because you must focus on doing everything in your power to win the first game of the day. Winning the first game will give you positive momentum throughout the rest of the day, and winning games, getting frags, and ranking up will be infinitely easier if you have that momentum from the very start. On the flip side, if you lose your first game underperforming, it's very easy to mentally say that you have a bad day. When that happens, it's almost impossible to make ranked progress. Secondly, we have overthinking. Some players who are incredible mechanically and that at their peak play at a super impressive level stop themselves from getting there just because they overthink a lot. The main way this happens is when talented players are left in clutch situations and the four others on the team are telling them what to do. Unfortunately, very often the communication coming from the team is not the way you want to play the situation. This means you're left to decide whether to trust yourself and your intuition or listen to what the others on the team are saying. If you don't follow your team's communication, they will be mad at you if you lose a round. But if you follow your own instinct, you know that you'll give yourself the best odds of succeeding. So if you're someone who plays way better than your rank, start trusting what your own inner voice is telling you to do. You know way better what you're good at and not compared to your teammates. You're also the one in every match you play, and your teammates' level of communication will vary heavily on a match-to-match level. Some games you'll have wonderful teammates who give valuable comms, and other times you'll have teammates with terrible comms. So stop overthinking, do what you think is right, and trust me, you'll see very quick ranked progress. The third and final reason behind insane inconsistency is playing when you shouldn't. What I mean by this is that you prioritize playing ranked rather than completing other more important tasks. This can, for example, be answering important emails, finishing up a due essay, or something as simple as taking a chicken out of the freezer. Having the thought that you really should be doing something else when playing Valorant will cause you to play noticeably worse, compared to if you just finish up everything before hopping on. If you manage to keep these three things in mind, you'll already be on the path to reaching your true rank. However, skill divergence is another reason why so many players are struggling to reach their true rank. Before that, a quick word from this video's sponsor, Enlisted. Enlisted is a FPS game that is free to play and available on both PC and console. It is squad-based and combines enjoyable yet skillful PvP and PvE combat. When playing, you take control of an AI-generated squad and lead them into some of the most pivotal battles of World War II where you face other players. You can fight on the side of the US, Japan, Germany, or the Soviet Union and unlock hundreds of different weapons, tanks, and aircrafts to customize your squads however you like. And the beauty is that it is authentic to history. And to those of you who have already played the game, Enlisted has recently had a huge new meta change update, all developed in collaboration with the community, introducing, amongst other things, research trees for weapons and vehicles, a matchmaker based on equipment, and various improvements to gameplay. There has never been a better time to explore the new era of Enlisted. With all the available roles and abilities, you can lead your soldiers and other squad leaders to victory for your side. If you go down to the top of the description below or the pinned comment and you sign up for the first time on PC, you will receive a special bonus of 2 weapons and a helmet for your soldiers, as well as 4,000 silver and 3 days of premium. The game is totally free to download and can be played on PC, Xbox, or PlayStation, and the bonus is only available for a limited time, so make sure to grab it before it's gone. Circling back to playing at a higher level than your rank, yet still being stuck, we have the problem of having an unevenly distributed skill set. You see, many players in low ranks like silver or gold might have attributes at the level of diamond or even ascended players. The issue is that their skill set is not balanced. Luckily, this is not hard to fix. The most common skill people develop in the lower ranks is their pointing and shooting. Their ability to drag the mouse onto an opponent's head is usually not bad at all. But what is bad is their other aiming fundamentals like pre-aiming, movement, and trigger discipline. The most effective way I have found to improve these aiming subcategories is by playing deathmatch for 30 minutes a day if you play over 3 hours daily and 20 minutes a day if you play 2 hours or less. When playing deathmatch, focus firstly and most importantly on your pre-aiming. In your head, when peeking an angle, think that an opponent will be where you place your crosshair. A lot of people peek an angle angle and aim at nothing. They react by flicking if they see an opponent. This is pointless because you can always play the probability of where an opponent is most likely to stand and pre-aim that angle before you peek. When you've turned a corner, you secondly want to focus on your movement. Be precise in the way you move. Don't instantly crouch as soon as you see an opponent, because crouching makes you an easy target to hit. If possible, we of course want to avoid that. Lastly, focus on your trigger discipline. There is no reason to shoot before you are comfortably on the head of an opponent. A lot of people think they have to shoot first, and although this will automatically come naturally when you develop good pre-aiming, in the learning phase, you want to focus on building good habits around slow and precise trigger discipline. The more you play, the faster you'll get, and in no time, you'll have evolved into an actual good player. Moving on, we need to talk about teammates, because in ranked, teammates can be a real struggle. You can have a day where you only meet terrible players to play with, and as a result, you'll most of the time end up on a losing streak. So the question is, what can we do with this issue? When it comes to teammates, there are 5 things you can do, not only to ensure you play as good as you can, but if you follow these 5 principles, you'll also notice that your teammates will play at a way higher level too. The first, super effective although simple tip is to hype your teammates up. Now, for some reason in the Valorant community, only a handful of people do this. If you're playing and a guy on your team clutches around, regardless of how good the clutch is, simply say that he's the best or something along those lines. It will make him play better throughout the match because you'll have hyped him up and made him confident. In contrast to this, a lot of people rage or flame their teammates when they lose a situation they shouldn't. Now, you need to understand that the chance of you ever playing with the people you meet in ranked again is near 0. So you wasting your energy on flaming your teammates for losing a round is totally pointless, as it will only result in him or her playing worse for the remainder of the match. So although your ranked teammates might sometimes throw rounds they really shouldn't, don't rage at them because of it. It will only make the chance of you losing the match much bigger. What will make the chance of winning higher, however, is if you always expect to top frag by a lot. Now, if you think you're better than your rank, you should top frag around 60 to 75% of your games. And if you don't, that's fine as well. But you need to adapt the mindset that your position in the majority of your games will be at the top. I very often see players complaining about them top fragging, but the team still losing. This way of thinking will only make you worse. If I lose a match and I top frag, I don't blame the other players on my team, because I can't really do much about how they play. I can only focus on bettering myself in future games. So say I top frag with 30 kills and we lose, I ask why I didn't get 40, not why my killjoy didn't get 5 more kills. And lastly, you must always try to come back, regardless of score. This can often feel super hopeless, especially if your teammates are playing terribly. But simply saying, let's give it a go, will up the chances of you making a comeback by a lot. Especially if you are someone who plays at a higher level than your rank, comebacks should be doable, and often. The momentum of winning a few rounds when you're down can lead to you winning games you didn't even think was possible. So keep that in mind the next time you play a game. Another super sad thing I see in a lot of players that are fundamentally super good is that they respect their opponents to the extent of not playing to their true potential. This very often happens directly after a rank up, especially to the higher ranks like Platinum, Diamond, and upwards. Now, the reason this is a problem is because if you start playing in, for example, Diamond with the thought that the opponents will be insanely good, you'll be stuck in Diamond way longer than you need, because you'll play more carefully, be slightly more insecure in going for some plays you think are good, and as a result, get in much less repetitions compared to someone who goes into a new rank confidently. I think a lot of people think the skill level of someone in a new rank compared to your old one, for example, when you go from Diamond to Ascendant, automatically becomes a ton better. This is not the truth. When you rank up from Diamond 3 to Ascendant 1, the difference in skill level on the opposition will be very minimal. But for a lot of players, they find it tough because of a mental aspect of being an Ascendant player and facing players in the very same rank. Therefore, it is extremely important you go into every ranked session, regardless if you've just ranked up, with the belief that you're going to be the best player in that game. Because the truth is, a lot of players are way better than their rank, but nerf themselves hard because of consistently talking themselves down, saying they're not as good as their rank, when in reality they actually are, and much better. One thing a lot of players that are way better than a rank struggle with is being a fantastic player when the pressure is low, but being really bad when the pressure is high. High pressure scenarios can, for example, be rank up games, important 1v1s, or anything else along those lines. So what's crucial is that we master playing under pressure, because if we can succeed when it matters the most, we will quickly rank up. There are 3 main points you can follow to limit the feeling of pressure heavily. The first is basing how proud you are on doing your best, not the outcome of a situation. Because the reality is, if you know that you did exactly what you wanted to do in a 1v1 situation, but still lost, you should be happy because you followed your instincts and played the odds the right way according to your own head. A lot of people make the mistake of basing their confidence exclusively on results, but this is ineffective as sometimes there's basically nothing you can do. Secondly, we have the simple fact that nobody cares about whether you win or lose a game. Now, this sounds very harsh, but I think it's a very freeing feeling. And knowing this allows for no pressure to be put on me, and this in turn makes me play more confidently and more carefree, which historically has proven to be a very, very good thing. Of course, when playing a ranked match, your teammates might be disappointed if you lose a round you shouldn't, but they won't remember that in 2 days anyways, so don't think too much about it. And lastly, we have preparing properly. If you know you have clocked in a good amount of hours and you're left to clutch a round win for the rank up, you should have the confidence based on the hours you've put in. The work has been done, and when it comes to it, you've prepared as good as you can. The only thing that remains is doing your best and performing. People that are better than a rank need to watch themselves or others in order to improve super fast. Now, if you're new to the game and don't know how to play the different agents, you don't fully understand what angles to play, or maybe you're new to FPS games all around, you should watch pro players play on Twitch. However, if you are in Diamond or above, you should almost exclusively watch your own games back, because you know what you need to do, and looking over small mistakes will be the most effective way of improving for you. You see, improving small mistakes is incredibly easy, and if you watch yourself for 20 minutes a day, every single day, you'll pick up on a minimum of 2 small mistakes every week. That is over 100 mistakes fixed in a year. Naturally, if you have more time and find it effective to watch back your own games, you can do it more and double the amount of mistakes found, and fix an enormous amount of mistakes and become a better player because of it. The way you need to do this is by using a recording software like Shadowplay or OBS, and you can just skip around a little bit in your recorded matches to see how you died in the rounds you did, and when you performed well, you can ask yourself what was the reason behind that. Next up, I want to give you one tip that really motivated and honestly made me reach my true rank, and that is simply not caring about daily ranked improvement, but rather looking at it weekly. Now, this may sound super weird considering your daily progress will directly affect your weekly development, but the reason I made this change is because I have bad days every now and then, and when I had a bad day, I thought that defined me as a player. I thought since I wasn't hitting shots on that day and losing most of my matches, I must not be good enough for my rank. But after I swapped my sense of improvement to looking at weekly results, I understood that a bad day didn't matter at all in the grand scheme of things. From Sunday to Sunday, in the span of 1 week, I had still gained a great amount of progress, even though one day was absolutely terrible. This feeling really motivated me to keep on grinding, as results were way more visible when I swapped my way of thinking about progress from daily to weekly, and I highly recommend doing the same. Coming up next, we have one of the easiest, yeah, probably the most effective tip to reach your actual deserved rank, and that is finding a good duo to play with. The 2 main platforms I use to find players is Twitter, which in my opinion is the best, and various different Discord servers. What I look for when trying to find new players to play with is someone who firstly doesn't rage. Being competitive is obviously a great thing, but I just don't have the energy to listen to someone cry in my ear. Secondly, since I primarily play Jett, I prefer to play with someone who plays Skye or Sage. This isn't a necessity, but it sure is a bonus. I also want to surround myself with people who have ambitious goals. I don't want to play with someone who becomes satisfied after hitting a certain threshold in terms of RR. I want to try my best to reach my peak every time I play. And most importantly, we have that my duo is a person I vibe with. I'm not going to be able to reach my true potential if the individual I grind with is not someone I like. The more I like the person that I play with every day, the more I'll play, and in return, the results will also be way better. Talking about results, another thing that will help you develop super fast as a player is playing custom games against other players who are at a higher level than your rank. Now, this tip is more aimed at already pretty good players. I'm talking Ascent and up. But even if you're in a lower rank, you can still consider playing custom games, because if you look for them, you can find some that fits your rank perfectly. High rank custom games can, for example, be national leagues against other ambitious teams in your country. Of course, in order to play these, you have to have a 5-man team, which can be quite difficult to sort out. So therefore, I often recommend going on Twitch and trying to play viewer customs on a relatively big streamer stream. You will not only learn by being punished for your mistakes, but you'll also be able to communicate and learn from someone who is at a higher level than yourself. The few times I did this back in the day, I learned a ton, and it was some of the most effective hours of practice of my entire Valorant career. If you really struggle to get out of your rank, I highly recommend putting in effort into understanding what happens when you have a good day on the game. We've all had those days where we just play better than ever before, like a 1 in 1,000 day. When this happens, it is crucial that you reflect upon what happened on that day. By doing this, you give yourself good odds of replicating replicating that same level of success again in the future. These great days can be caused by hundreds of different things. When I have had these days, it has been because of a few main factors. Among those, you have good sleep, nothing else on my mind, so I can fully lock in and focus on the game. And as previously mentioned, momentum has played a big part in me having these crazy days. When you're not having one of these 1 in 1,000 days and you need your team to play as good as humanly possible, you must be okay with taking the lead. Telling the team what to do in a humble and respectful way, and essentially just being the one coming up with the strats. Especially in lower ranks, a ton of players play very individually. So if you're able to be someone who can make the team play together, that will greatly benefit your ranked progress, as you will undeniably win more games. When taking this role, it's also super good if you're able to catch on the different strengths and weaknesses in your team and manage to develop a plan around that. Sometimes when I play, I notice that some players on my team are insane at entry fragging, whilst others might be crazy good at after plants. So if that's the case, I simply say, you're insane at entry fragging. Do you mind trying to get one on A? Applying this is super simple, yet highly effective. On top of that, you also have to be able to adapt to the different players. If you usually play super fast, but get matched up with 4 others who play super slowly, you can't get the 4 others to play your way. It will be way easier for you to simply adapt. A lot of Valorant players have a massive ego for some reason, but if you're better than your rank and want to really quickly get out of there and reach your actual potential, try being the one adapting, because trust me, if you don't, your progress will be embarrassingly slow. Moving on, a lot of people that are super close to skyrocketing out of their rank but just miss out by a little bit are not as effective as they can in terms of playing for improvement. Every single one of you have a different schedule, and the time you're able to play every day varies a lot. So depending on your schedule, it's important to try and get in as high quality game time as humanly possible. Quality practice is different from person to person, depending on your strengths and weaknesses. But one thing is certain, and that is that if you only have 1 hour to play every day, you need to play 20 minutes of deathmatch daily, as earlier mentioned, if your goal is to reach a high rank. Playing ranked simply won't give you enough repetitions to become a solid player if you're this limited on time. If you want to be uniquely good at the game, you can't do what everyone else is doing. There are a few things you can do to be different in the best possible sense of that word. You can either play more than anyone else, you can focus heavily on your weaknesses by making sure the quality of your practice is at the highest level, or you can have a paid coach who will give you an unhealthy amount of constructive criticism so you can get an objective second opinion on what you're actually good and bad at. The important thing is that you try to not think like everyone else, unless of course you're exceptionally talented. You see, thinking differently and taking an approach that won't be doable for everyone else will result in improvement unlike anyone else as well. Goal setting is my next step. It has been such an effective tool for me throughout my years of Valorant. A lot of people set goals of reaching a certain rank, and although that is okay, it is not really a motivating factor that will directly help you improve in any way, shape, or form. What I have done and always do is setting goals of how many matches I want to play per day. Setting realistic goals in terms of matches played per day makes you a very consistent player, and as a result, you'll see consistent improvement. During a crazy period of time, I also had a goal of doing 5 death matches per day for 1 month straight. Now, how effective this was for my improvement, I don't really know, but it gives you a little bit of an image of what kind of goals you can set to actually get some improvement. Of course, setting goals of matches played or death matches played are only a few examples of what you can do. You can set other goals like doing 10 minutes of aim training on aim labs, watching back 2 of your own games a day, or watching 3 Valorant improvement videos. The options are endless, and it really all comes down to what you find the most beneficial in your current situation. Guys, that is it for this video. If you liked it, consider dropping a like and subscribing. Appreciate you all so much. And lastly, I just quickly want to shout out Enlisted one more time for sponsoring today's episode. Make sure to check them out for free on PC, Xbox, or PlayStation through the top link in the description or the pinned comments below. And as previously mentioned, new PC players will get exclusive bonus rewards of 2 weapons and a helmet for your soldiers, as well as 4,000 silver and 3 days of premium. Don't miss out on this limited opportunity.